on Saturday. Obviously, one of a very talented team, a very seasoned offense and defensive line. I believe they have 3, 4 seniors up front, redshirt juniors and seniors up front, a top 10 defense, top 3 in sacks and tackles for losses, defending conference champions, really good football team, and looking forward to the opportunity this weekend here at Hard Rock. Questions, please.
Mario, do you play this just like it's a regular game, or do you try to start looking at other guys, other combinations? When you get toward the end of the season, where's the line as far as you want to maybe get some stuff on film and evaluate some stuff versus just sort of play it out and see what happens Saturdays?
I don't think it's a change for every game. I think we're playing for a lot on Saturday, and there's one and only goal. That's to win the game. So putting our best players on the field, give them the best chance to be successful. That's really the only goal that we have right now.
How much does, everyone used to talk about you get 15 practices for the ball. Nobody really gets that numerous with the schedule balls and all that. But even getting a handful more, even if it was on 5 or 6 more, how valuable can all these things be as good as?
Well, as long as you use them the right way, they're ultra valuable, right? I mean, at this point in the season, especially where we're at from an injury standpoint, you can't have your camp-style practices. I've been on teams sometimes where you're almost completely healthy, and you could have some really, really good spring practice type sessions, some more extensive, maybe not camp-like, but just that involve more physicality. But you could really do a lot in terms of technique and fundamentals. You wish some of the rules were different in terms of the redshirt rule and being able to play some additional, or having some guys gain additional time. You can't do that. But the practices themselves, being around the players, activities, building relationships, school's over with. I mean, you have them to yourself like you have them in camp. And that time is always, in my opinion, that's the most valuable time with your players.
One more for me. I know you said on the radio this morning there's a chance for Tyler. What's it say about him that he didn't nail it when he could? He could have just said, you know what, it hurts, I'm done, whatever, let's move on, whatever's next. What's that mean that he's still trying to get out there?
Oh, it means that he's a real one, I mean, like we talk about all the time, football tells the truth now. It will reveal who's tough-minded and resilient and who's able to push through and deal when things are good as well as when things aren't so good. And it also will reveal those that buckle and that will look for, a place to hide if things don't exactly go their way, or look for excuses. I mean, football's a beautiful thing now in terms of helping people learn about themselves, learn about others, about their teammates, about their coaches, about an organization. It's one of the reasons I do love the game, and I think, Tyler's a great example of a guy who's a competitor and wants to do the very best he can by his teammates and his program.
Sending seniors out on a good note, is that something you guys discussed this week?
Always, right? You only have one senior year, right? Well, you have 2. You have one in high school and you have one in college. And in college, you're not always guaranteed, right? Because typically you have teams that have juniors that come out early. But for a lot of guys, it's their last collegiate home game, with the opportunity to play to extend our season. So there's a lot of value to this game. It means a ton. I think everyone that's ever played the game remembers their last home game. We want to make sure that we do everything possible to make it a great memory for all those guys.
Some of these seniors have been here 3 different coaching staffs. Just what does it mean? I mean, you love University of Miami, all that kind of stuff. Just what does it mean to see guys like that stick around? There's been a lot of changes from day one till your senior.
Well, one thing, if you play football or coach it long enough, you learn that change is the norm, right? Change is part of it. Guys that have stuck around, and guys that will stick around, they'll hold up trophies. They will, and they'll have some great moments. And some have been through the ups and the downs of it. But when you go to a school, you choose a school like the University of Miami, you sign up for all of it, all that comes with it, knowing that this university, academically, from a life standpoint, a support standpoint, athletically, is going to give every student athlete everything it has. And I think those guys, they're grateful. I think they've expressed their gratitude. And the best way they can express their gratitude on Saturday is to play as hard as they possibly can and do everything possible to earn a victory.
Coach, the transfer portal window opens up now in December. Just kind of your thoughts on having a transfer portal window, and then I guess some of the challenges of kind of trying to put the finishing touches on a recruiting class while also trying to identify transfer portal guys without like kind of knowing who's going to be in there. Just some of the challenges that maybe that poses for you guys as scouting.
Well, I mean, the first thing is the most important thing is the game. You know, I think that sometimes we always try to get ahead of ourselves as a society, and what we're doing, we're making sure that every ounce of focus is on this game. The challenge of a transfer portal, I think it's the opposite. I think it's more of the opportunity of a transfer portal. Every single coach in America has the obligation to load up their roster. I know we have the responsibility to make sure our roster is filled with hardworking, tough-minded, resilient, do the right thing on and off the field, high-caliber, athletic, high-character individuals that want to be elite, you know, and are willing to make the commitment and sacrifice to do that. So when that time comes, obviously, you know, there is a plan in place and one that's executed full throttle, you know, as well as our high school recruiting plan, our junior college recruiting plan. Now even overseas, you find players, right? There's different ways to fill your roster now, and with you say it's unlimited, but in reality, it's not, right? You're going to reach a cap at some point in time, but you have to make sure that you're finding ways to improve the caliber of play at each position, right? The quality of depth in terms of young guys, older guys, developmental guys. You really have to plan for now, but also 2 and 3 years out. That to me, I think, is more the challenge, projecting. In terms of the portal itself, I think it's nothing but opportunity because it works both ways, you know, and you know, at every single school, not everybody's invited back, you know, and at the same time, guys that are seeking more playing time or a situation that's better for themselves, they can do that. And I don't think anyone should judge that. I don't think anyone should be angry at that, you know. That is what it is, and that's what it's there for.
Well, you guys have had a couple guys announce that they will be entering the portal at the end of the season. I'm curious, did you have conversations with those guys? You mentioned, you know, not everybody's invited back. Were those kind of conversations about playing time, and is that kind of why we see this happening now?
Yeah, you know, you have conversations, and you have one obligation to be honest and transparent, you know, and you know, some guys are invited back. Some guys have to develop further and become better to be able to contribute. And, you know, for some guys, it's just not the right fit, you know, and for us, the program, sometimes it's not the right fit. But you have one obligation: do right by the players, do right by the program, be honest and transparent. And again, don't judge. I don't judge, you know what I mean? We all have a job to do and an obligation to be the very best we could possibly be. One of my biggest obligations is to make sure that this roster is littered with super high caliber guys, and that those guys are surrounded by more guys, you know? And so, you know, you have conversations. You do, my personal opinion, I do think guys should always finish a season. You know, I don't judge if someone doesn't. I always advise that to everybody because I sometimes think that you may have regret if you don't finish. But if someone doesn't finish, you don't judge it. You do help them the best you can to find a place for them. So that's my opinion on it.
You talk about having a 2 and 3 year plan like every coach does and should. But in the portal era, everybody's on 1 year options, whether it's player or team option. It seems like everybody has the option at all times now to go. Is that 3 year plan becoming more and more futile because you just don't know how much is going to actually get rewritten?
Well, I guess when I say 2 or 3 year plan, you know, when you recruit, there are guys that are going to be great players. They just need developmental time. So your eyes, you really have to have great sets of eyes. And then you also have the guys that do a really good job digging deep into, you know, like, how do I say this? The recruiting process needs to be, we're here, one of the big is to elevate the recruiting process. You got to dig deep into what's inside. You know what I mean? You got to find out if someone really loves the game, if they want a great education, if they want a great life, if they really want to be involved in the community, if they're willing to put in time, long hours, make commitments, make sacrifices, because that's what comes with this program. That's what comes with being an elite human being, an elite player, an elite student. And if you don't have all those boxes checked, you're kind of rolling the dice, you know? So let's say you in the portal, you hit a grand slam with a phenomenal player at one position. Well, might be a one-year guy. Well, what's coming up behind that? Are you going to try to roll the dice and hope you get a superstar every single year at that position? You got to make sure that you also make the right selections and offers on guys that want to be part of the program, want to develop, and that their time is coming. It may not be right away, but it could be partly right away and then fully in a year or two, you know? So that's what I mean by, you know, so you don't want to overstack at a position because, like you said, with the one-year option, you overstack, you're going to have a lot of one-year options. So.
Coach, how much of this season maybe has been, I mean, you mentioned how important it is to win Saturday. I'm not saying you guys aren't trying to win every single game by any means, but how much of this season has been a feeling out process in the sense of, for example, Jalen Knight, right? You talked about him having to earn those reps again. How much of this season has been a feeling out process with this roster, with these players, where your approach was, win or lose, I need to know who's really in moving forward with this program?
Well, I don't think it's feeling out. I think winning and losing go hand in hand with earning. I don't think there's any separation. I don't think there's certainly no Jedi mind tricks going on over here. What's real is real. You know, I mean, everything that you do throughout the course of the day and the week and that you prove on game day are going to be taken into account as it relates to playing time, right? And then you got to put it on tape. It's got to show in the end. So there's no, I'm trying to guess at what, you know, I'm trying to give you the best answer as it relates to the feeling out thing. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but everything we do is geared towards winning.
First 20 minutes of the second half, Saturday, what did you like? I mean, the two touchdowns at the end, almost like you guys were trying to make plays, but at that point, they were, the first 20 minutes just seemed much different.
There was energy. There was a realization there, you know, we could hang, we could do something here. And you get the ball and you cross the 50 and you got a chance to, you take a shot, try to make it you can make it a one-score game with a 2-point conversion, you know, so not trying to make it sound better or worse than it was, but you're winning the second half and you're doing it by making plays, creating turnovers, playing with a lot of energy, life, you know. You always look at, right, for anything, whether it be your business, your own family, right, football, you always look for people that are willing to just go, no matter what, no clock, no scoreboard, between the lines and snap the whistle, people that'll just go. It's a DNA piece, it's a trait that must be in every single Miami Hurricane. And we saw that from a lot of guys, you know. And I don't know if every, you know, I don't know if everybody would bounce back or try that hard, you know. So it was something that, you know, was put on tape and seen on tape. No consolation prize, just acknowledgement. Okay, there's a piece in there that we have. Let's grow that piece. Let's get better.
Coach, you had a conversation with Jakari after the game, came out of the game. Have you talked to him since then?
We talk about it every single day.
The fact that you took him out of the game, some young quarterbacks might have a harder time with that. I guess my question was just, have you had extra thoughts that you essentially believe in him, confidence, that he didn't lose his confidence?
We do that with every player every single week. It wouldn't be anything new. You know, we talk to them during the game. We talk to our players after the game. We make sure that they understand that, you know what, we're always going to do what gives us the best chance to win. I thought both those guys did a great job handling the situation and both supported each other, which, you know, that's hard to do, man, and hard to find, right? Quarterbacks are willing to do that during a tough time, so I commend both those guys for their response to being in a tough situation.
The first thing you said when walking in the room was about the header.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, we all know the story. Everybody's heard the story, loves the story. It's just one of those all-timers.
Yes, sir.
What has he meant to the room? What's he meant to this group?
He's an absolute stud. I mean, that guy is an absolute weapon. You know, you look at some of the stuff that he's created for us, the advantages that he's created in terms of field position and hidden yardage. I mean, Lou has been an absolute monster on special teams. You can't ever really pinpoint where he's going to place the ball. And the fact that he could place it and have us in position, because people don't realize how sometimes he holds it, because he could see the rush and feel it while he moves or in place. He can see a missed block. He's got to get it off quicker. You know, he understands the distribution. You know, they had what we call deuces, right? 2 returners back there. That's challenging. Where can I put this ball where neither one of those guys could touch it and give our guys a chance to go cover it? No, he's a exceptional person, exceptional competitor, super hard worker, great teammate. Can't say enough great things about Lou and Andy. Both those guys have been awesome.
With Corey Flag and George Miller up against injuries, anything you can tell us on which guys their injuries are?
Feel good about both of them. You know, Jordan Miller bounced back very quickly. Corey was a little bit slower in coming out, still being evaluated, but we feel good about him practicing and playing this week.
Thanksgiving?
Sir?
Thanksgiving plan?
Practice. We got practice. We'll have a big team meal. You know, we have so many local guys. We'll have a really big team meal Wednesday night, so we could sit down and break a little bread, you know. And I'm used to doing it on Thursdays, but it's different where I was. There were no local guys. Now there's a lot of local guys here. You want to give them time to see their families on Thursday before we round up on Friday, you know, go into the bunker and prepare for the game. So. Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.